Welcome to Rupert Reads. Today we're going to continue with The Adventures of Buster Bear by Thornton W. Burgess. Chapter 21. Samuel J. makes things worse for Buster Bear. Thief! 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 Sammy J. was screaming at the top of his lungs as he followed Buster Bear across the old pasture towards the green forest. Never had he screamed so loud, and never had his voice sounded so excited. The little people of the green forest, the green meadows, and the smiling pool are so used to hearing Sammy cry, thief, that usually they think very little about it. But every blessed one who heard Sammy this morning stopped whatever he was doing and pricked up their ears to listen. Sammy's cousin, Blacky the Crow, just happened to be flying along the edge of the old pasture, and the minute he heard Sammy's voice, he turned and flew over to see what it was all about. Just as soon as he caught the sight of Buster Bear running for the green forest as hard as he could, he understood what had excited Sammy so. He was so surprised that he almost forgot to keep his wings moving. Buster Bear had what looked to Blacky very much like a tin pail hanging from his neck. No wonder Sammy was excited. Blacky beated his wings fiercely and started after Sammy. And so they reached the edge of the green forest, Buster Bear running as hard as he ever could, Sammy J. flying just behind him and screaming, thief, 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 at the top of his lungs. And behind him, Blacky the Crow tried to catch up and yelling as loud as he could, caw, 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 come on everybody, come on everybody, come on. Poor Buster. It was bad enough to be frightened almost to death as he had been up at the old pasture when the pail had caught over his head just as Farmer Brown's boy had yelled at him. Then to have the pail of the handle slip down around his neck so that he couldn't get rid of the pail but had to take it with him as he ran. He was making a bad matter worse. Now, to have all the neighbors of the green forest see him in such a fix and make fun of him was more than he could stand. He felt humiliated. That is just another way of saying shamed. Yes, sir. Buster felt that he was shamed in the eyes of his neighbors, and he wanted nothing so much as to get away by himself, where no one could see him, and try to get rid of that dreadful pail. But Buster is so big that it is not easy for him to find a hiding place. So, when he reached the green forest, he kept right on the deepest, darkest, most lonesome part and crept under the thickest hemlock tree he could find. But it was of no use. The sharp eyes of Sammy J. and Blacky the Crow saw him. They actually flew into the very tree under which he was hiding, and how they did scream. Pretty soon, old Mr. Buzzard came dropping out of the blue sky and took his seat on the convenient dead tree, where he could see all that went on. Old Mr. Buzzard began to grin as soon as he saw that tin pail on Buster's neck. Then came others, Redtail the Hawk, Scrapper the Nightbird, Redwing the Blackbird, Drummer the Woodpecker, Welcome Robin, Tommy Tit the Chickadee, Jenny Wren, Redeye the Vireo, and ever so many more. They came from the old orchard, the green meadows, and even down by the smiling pool, for the voices of Sammy J. and Blacky the Crow carried far, and at the sound of them everybody hurried over, sure that something exciting was going on. Presently, Buster Bear heard light footsteps, and, peeping out, he saw Billy Mink and Peter Rabbit and Jumper the Hare and Prickly Pork and Reddy Fox and Jimmy Skunk, even timid little Whitefoot, the wood mouse, was there. He could peer out and see without even seeing. Even timid little Whitefoot, the wood mouse, was there. He could peer out and see without being seen. Of course, Chatterer the Red Squirrel and Happy Jack the Gray Squirrel were there. There they all sat in a great circle around him, each where he felt safe, and where he could see, and every one of them laughed and making fun of Buster. Thief! 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 Screamed Sammy until his throat was sore. The worst of it was Buster knew that everybody knew that it was true. This awful pail was proof of it. I wish I had never thought of berries, growled Buster to himself. And that's the end of this chapter. Thank you for joining us, and if you liked what you heard, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you.